Okay, peace and blessings to each and every one of you all, and welcome once again to the MAPS channel, mantras, affirmations, prayers, and spells. Thank you all for coming once again. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe this very important little channel so that it can build and the word gets out. Right? Thank you all for doing that for me. I appreciate you all. And now we are back with the Metu Neter Volume 4. I have been working from Volumes 6 and 4. As a matter of fact, I have Volume 6 right here and Volume 4 right here. And so we are dealing with them both back and forth. This time, I'm going to be reading about the energy of Asar. I've already done Amen. And yes, the video is long. These are going to be long videos because this is where you're going to get all the good information, detailed, and what you need to do, because this is about the Asarian resurrection. Okay? The Initiate's Daily Meditation Guide. And my people, you know what? I live in Oakland, California, East Oakland. Yeah, that's right. And so people are going to be playing their music and all that kind of stuff. If I had to wait until there was absolutely no noise, then I would never get anything done. So we're just going to consider that as background ASMR. When you hear some rap music pop up, or some talking, or loud talking, screaming, children playing, or whatever, that's just ghetto ASMR. This is the background of our lives here. We can handle it, all right? So, my people, yes, today I'm reading Asar from the Metu Neter Volume 4. And it's probably going to be over an hour. Uh, and I'm working from my new little system that only gives me 30 minutes at a time. So I'm just going to string however many videos comes out of this into one big video. Or maybe I'll leave them as parts, or it's probably better to put them all together because the very first video was one long video, hour and a half almost. So, my people, Asar, okay? Chapter 6, the law of Asar, the first neter of the Pa'ut, which is the tree. Asar is the first neter of the Pa'ut. Amen is 0 above the tree. If you look at the tree, it's the 0 above, representative of God energy. Okay, so Asar is number 1. This is what we are aspiring to get to, this Asar unity. All right. We experience the influence of the Neter Asar as the desire for oneness with others. One love month, okay? And the peace and security that comes from that. When you are one love with everybody, then you're just going to feel secure and peaceful, right? Because you trust everybody. You're just connected. Yeah? And so you don't have to fear when things are in a state of equilibrium and perfection, okay? This desire can only be satisfied through the law of Asar. The goal of Asar's law is to nurture peace and oneness with all through the understanding and experience that oneness is a fact of the universe. A lot of people are saying that the world's going to hell in a handbasket. I've said it numerous times myself, but maybe that's not so. Maybe it's my mind, as that brother says. He points at his head. That meme, right? Okay, it's my mind. That's what's going to hell in a handbasket if I don't reconnect to my divinity. Okay, Asar is our innate divinity. Okay, it's a divine personality type, and that's what we have. Your self is unperceivable. Okay. It was said in the last chapter that there are two fundamental aspects of man's being. One is unperceivable, amen, and the other perceivable, thoughts, mind, emotion, sensations, the physical body. This duality of being extends to all aspects of our being in different ways. We will consider here how it applies to man's identity, the self. So there's that duality throughout all the aspects of yourself. There's duality in each. Yourself, that's when you break it down real seriously, the way Brother Priest Ra Nefer Amen has done, so that the breakdown shows us what we're looking at so we can know. And then, of course, we reconnect it all back together. We religion it back, okay? Yourself, who, what you are, the part of being that is represented by the I in your being, your true identity, is unperceivable, like the spirit. On one hand, you experience yourself as consciousness and inner reality, and on the other hand, you experience the other aspect of your being. We will call it your person, as that which you are conscious of. It must be emphasized that in your experience of yourself as consciousness, I am emphatically stating that you are not conscious, but consciousness itself. Ra'an Nefer Amen, he almost nitpicks with this, but it's very important that he does. He's saying we are not conscious, okay, which would be what that would be what okay, conscious. That's a verb, right? Being conscious is a verb. He's saying that we are consciousness itself. We are the consciousness, which would then be the noun, right? Ooh, he goes all the way in with it. The latter would posit consciousness as something and other that you possess. Oh, wait a minute, let's see. While the former, the truth is that you are consciousness itself. Yes, okay. Right, okay. He's saying this that, well, let me just reread it, okay? Consciousness would posit as something, as an other, as something that you have, okay? Like I have a pair of clippers. I have a pair of clippers right here. Whereas the other way of looking at it, consciousness itself would mean that this is me. My being is clippers. I don't have clippers. I am clippers, which is a terrible analogy, but you guys know what I'm saying. Woo! And that makes a difference. That's a difference. Okay, that's a important difference, as a matter of fact, because if you are consciousness, then you can never not have consciousness. In a way, you can't really be unconscious. If you are consciousness itself, then you are not you can't be unconscious. Let's see what he says about stuff like that. Okay. The latter, okay, will posit consciousness as something and other that you possess, while the former, the truth, is that you are consciousness itself. This is one of the most critical understandings in spirituality, and the ability to live it is paramount to the realization of your divinity. See, when you're consciousness itself, then you are divine. Okay. When you have consciousness, then you went and got it from somewhere, which would still mean that maybe you are not divine at all. When you are consciousness itself, then you have to awaken it within yourself. And that's what Asar and Tahuti and Amen represent, the divinity that you have to, and the way God made it, the way the Most High made it, you have to achieve it. You have to awaken it. You have to embody it. You have to get to it. Is you. If you don't get to it, then you don't know your divine self. But when you do, baby, the power that you get, okay? Look at my smile. Once teeth were crooked and now they're less crooked. That's all I'm going to say on that. All right. Asar was the name given to the self, the consciousness that is the true identity of God and man. It is the divine within man's being. All right. Let's begin with the fact that the majority of people identify the perceivable aspects of their being, their thoughts, emotions, sensations, and the physical body as themselves. Okay. The word self must be restricted to denote man's identity, and it represents that which is the consciousness in man's being. You are that which perceives the activities going on in your mind, the emotions, and the physical body, but you cannot perceive your true self. Okay? Self with a capital S. The God self within you can't perceive it. The source of the perceptive ability, the seer within you that sees what you're thinking, what you're doing, how you're being, perceives it. Okay. The reason for this was stated earlier. There is no energy or matter in the self, which is also called the consciousness, which you are, and the will, which you have, which you also are. Thus, it cannot be objectified. It's the God in you, okay? That is, it cannot manifest itself in any perceivable manner, okay? Asar, the self, the seer, okay? Asar, the self, the seer, okay? Seeing is the chief faculty of man and was therefore selected to, and he has man in quotes, selected to represent consciousness, the self, which he has as a capital S. All right. This is the thinking that led the ancient Egyptians to the hieroglyphic representation of Asar. The images do not represent phonemes. They make up a metaphoric statement that I speaks for itself. You know that eye, that Egyptian eye that everybody have seen. Let me see if he got a picture of it in the back of the book or something like that. Oh, well, anyway, here it is right here. That eye, we've seen it, okay? All right. It's something. You got to follow this, okay? The images do not represent phonemes. They make up a metaphoric statement. See, this is a metaphoric statement. This image, with the even with the seat and the eye, that's a metaphoric statement. All right, in and of itself, and it speaks for itself. Okay, the other figure, which represents Aset, needs an in-depth explanation, which will be given later on in this chapter. I better open this window because it's going to get warm in here. It's a hot day today. Ooh, that helps. Just trying to look out for it not being too noisy while I'm doing this. But anyway, let's see. The self has two roles, one passive and the other active, consciousness and will, respectively. The spiritual lesson regarding, see, that's more duality right there. Even in the God self, there's a duality. There's the consciousness and then there's the will. One is active and the other is passive. Is deep. Is deep. Okay. The spiritual lesson regarding consciousness resides in the fact that we must identify only with the act of perceiving and never with the things perceived, the thoughts, emotions, the body, and the sensations. I tried. It ain't gonna work. Ooh, I better get a fan. I better get myself a fan. Ooh. It's just this time of the day is not the good time to do this. I'm gonna turn my oven fan on to suck up the heat. I can't open the window right now. I gotta get some kind of setup. Gotta get a better setup. I hope you guys can still hear me. Background noise, more background noise. Probably would have been better not to wear a turtleneck sweater. Anyway, it's too late. I already did. All right. The self has two roles: one passive, and the self with a capital S, and the other is active. Consciousness and will. Okay, consciousness is passive, will is active. The spiritual lesson regarding consciousness resides in the fact that we must identify only with the act of perceiving and never with the things that we perceive. Whatever you see. They say, I heard somebody say, to hell with what you see. Okay. Only what you feel. Okay. You You perceive thoughts and emotions, the body and the sensations. You never identify with that. That's not you. If you feel that you got a cold right now, you don't feel that you are the cold. No, you're looking at yourself with a cold. The God within you's got the cold. Is looking at the person. Okay, that's the duality. There's the God in you, and there's the person in you. And there are some people who identify with their perceptions. So they feel, if they feel bad, then they are always feeling bad. They think of themselves as feeling bad or being sick or being weak or being, anxious or being this or being the other, because they identified with their perceptions rather than with the seer who sees these perceptions, who is perceiving this stuff. The God within you sees this stuff, perceives it. You identify with the God within you, then if you identify with the things that you perceive, especially the negative things, then you're going to have a world of hurt all the time. If you identify yourself as the God within you that sees these things, then you can always get rid of the things. You don't have to go through hell and high water just to release some kind of a whatever that you got going on, some kind of a issue. We be having our issues and we be having those jokers for like 30 years and stuff like that. And it never had to be like that if we didn't perceive ourselves as the thing that we perceive rather than as the perceiver, as the perceiver, as the person who, as the entity that sees it. That's the seer. I hope I didn't confuse that even more. Lack of spiritual training will cause people to identify with the perceivable aspects of being, causing them to live by the lower nature, which is the cause of all the problems in the world. It's the cause of every problem. Okay? They don't understand the God within them. Asar, the self, was meant to be the initiator of all that happens in man's life. Whew. Should I dare to open that window again? I can always just close it back if they come back out. But then I can turn off this fan. I won't have to be talking over this fan. I need a studio, a sound booth, soundproof sound booth where I can go in and create my videos, without all the rigmarole. Asar, the self with a capital S, was meant to be the initiator of all that happens in man's life. And the self with a capital S is a representation of the divine. Okay. You were meant to be the initiator of all events in your life. And while you might think that you know that and that you have been doing that all your life, you need to pay very close attention to the following. Okay, I got 10 minutes in this one clip. First of all, the self slash Asar is devoid of energy and matter, okay, and is therefore, like Amen, peaceful by nature, okay. There is no energy in it to manifest any sensations or emotions. This is the Asar, the divine high self within us. Thus, if your behavior, your thinking, and life wants to have been controlled or highly determined by wait a minute, life have been controlled or highly determined by sensations, sensuality, passions, and emotions, it was not originated by you, but by the lower part of your spirit, the animal, the human. Okay, it wasn't originated by the high Asar, because that high Asar is divine and peaceful by nature, as well as is Amen, peaceful by nature, is divine. It has no energy and matter in it that it could create all of this stuff. That's the lower self. That's the whole purpose of all of these Neter. They break down all the levels of the human, okay, slash God. Okay, that's why we call ourselves gods, because we do have that higher God, and that's what it is, the higher realms. Okay, pay close attention is what uh, our priest Ra'an Nefer Amen is saying. Okay, first of all, the self slash Asar is devoid of energy and matter, okay, and is therefore, just like Amen, peaceful by nature. There is no energy in it to manifest any sensation or emotion. Thus, if your behavior, thinking, and life have been controlled or highly determined by sensations, sensuality, passions, and emotions, it was not originated by the self, by the Asar aspect of you, okay, which is the higher, okay, one of the higher. Tahuti is another, okay. But this energy was created by the Lord, which it has its abilities, it has its place, it's valuable. It allows you to live on earth as a human, as well as a divine person as well. But it was not originated by you, the self, with a capital S, but by the lower part of your spirit, the animal, and not part of your spirit, but the lower part, the animal slash human part. It is only after you have mastered the peace that you can claim to be living from the point of view of the self, the divine within you. You have to be able to master the peace, okay? Yes, if you get upset about this, that, and the other, you got to overcome. You have to learn how to overcome that. And more so than overcoming the wildness that be going on, you have to master the peace. If you master the peace, then you overcome all the other stuff that goes on in your spirit, okay? In your lower self. You'll overcome it, as a matter of fact, okay? Asar, the self, can only be experienced, okay? After the knee jerk sensual and emotional responses to situations and challenges in life have been silenced within the balance of heaven and earth, of course. Okay, now another word that he has created, insperience. You've heard of the word experience, right? Ex meaning outer, right? You experience things, right? But the God, the Neter, the self, which is Asar, has to be experienced. You don't, it doesn't, you don't, this doesn't come out. It's not something you experience, it's something you experience. You can't experience this. That's a real good word that he created, experience. Okay. The rest is knee jerked emotional responses and all kinds of things that go off within you based on the creation of this energy that's uh, controlled. You have to learn how to control that stuff. As the initiator of all that happens in your life, Asar is the source of all that is good. This is just another way of saying that when you have eliminated all of the energies, emotions, and sensations that interfere with peace, upon which depends clarity of perception and reasoning, you will be able to clearly and correctly see the proper things that you should want in life and the correct strategies and tactics to adopt in order to get them. Okay. The spirit, Ra, must be kept in a state of peace in order for it to project the correct way, capital W, to consciousness. You must keep in mind that since the self, capital S, is devoid of matter, it cannot store information, forms that show the way. Thus, it depends on the spirit for the information it needs. The spirit cannot oblige if it is kept in a state of energy imbalance led by emotions and sensations. That's why in the tree of life there are correspondences like Asar is connected with Aset. Okay, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. Let me just keep it closed. Asar is connected with Aset. See, Asar, when the whole situation happened, according to the metaphor, he was killed and dumped under the Nile, right? The River Nile. It was Aset that had to go searching for him. Okay, she's the one with the energy to go looking and searching. See, Aset is on the lower level of the tree. Aset is number 9 on the tree. You know, that's where the energy and the matter is. So according to the metaphorian, the story, okay, she was the one crying and lamenting and searching, going through all kinds of hell and high water to get back to that Asar, to find Asar and resurrect Asar. That's what that's saying something right there. That we have to use our energy to, and it takes a lot. Aset went through a lot to find Asar, and we have to do a lot to get to this place within ourselves. It's not something that's just handed over to you. Your divinity, you got to overcome some things. Otherwise, if you just got the divinity like that and you didn't overcome the animalistic part of your nature, you would be doing all kind of crazy stuff with your power. Okay, and that's why you never will get that power. Okay, God ain't no fool. All right, the people who are doing all kinds of things, there's consequences for the things they do. They think they're getting away with something, but they're not. All right. All right, the spirit cannot oblige if it is kept in a state of energy imbalance. Energy imbalance. The lower self, our spirits, we can't do nothing to try to get to that higher region, okay? Because we're imbalanced spiritually, emotionally, physically. We're doing it's a wreck, and that's why they keep you wrecked by the media that they show you. It's constant wreckage, okay? Constant wreckage all the damn time. Okay? Asar, oneness with God and with all. Okay, my people. Well, I can keep going. Religions agree in that they stress the oneness of man with God as a precondition for the good life. Okay? Religions understand that part, they know that, but disagree on how the union can be attained. How do you connect God with man? Okay, how do you do this? All right, man. Atheists stress oneness with the universe as if it is an entity existing in and of itself and give no means of establishing the connection. Okay, part two. All right. I'm going to link these videos together, but I just have to say part two so that I can link it together when I do the editing later on. So, my people, Asar, oneness with God, with all. Religions agree in that they stress the oneness of man with God as a precondition for the good life. God and man has to be one within you for the good life. But they disagree, these religions disagree on how the union can be attained. Atheists stress oneness with the universe, okay, as if it is an entity existing in and of itself, and give no means of establishing the connection. Success promoters work out of a mixed bag. On one hand, they glibly talk of the oneness with God, and on the other, they attribute success to efficient mind management. Okay. Surprisingly, the latter are closer to the truth and to morality, as they do not violate their injunction to oneness with the promotion of the destruction of other people and their lives the way religion do. Okay, religion was vicious, especially the Christian religion and the Arab, the Muslim religion too. They ready to kill everybody. It is simple, and actually, business these days is doing the same thing. They want to destroy their competitors, their competition. Everybody's all about destroying extreme competition, to the point of annihilation. It is simple. Yes, you must manage your mind very, very well. And this is what this book is about, okay? This book, okay? The Asarian Resurrection, okay? The Initiate's Daily Meditation Guide. The Initiate's Daily Meditation Guide, okay? Daily, okay? Meditation Guide. All right. Success in this endeavor is half the source for success in life. The other is provided by God. No matter how well your mind works, no matter how powerful you have made your life force, you will not be able to affect others to assist you beyond a certain limit. Yet, you will need their help to achieve your goals. Ah, okay. In the same way that members of a species congregate on earth and form a community for mutual assistance, so is there need for man to unite with God. Your union with God will take place when all of your spiritual faculties, the 11 Pa'ut Neteru, are manifesting their laws in your mind. When they are manifesting their laws in your mind, the manifestation of the law of Amen is happening in your mind. The law of Asar, the law of Tehudi, the law of Seker, the law of Ma'at, the law of Herukuti, the law of Heru, the law of Het Heru, the law of Sebek. The law of, did I say Ma'at? The law of Sebek, the law of Aset, the law of Geb. Okay. All of those have got to be manifesting in your mind. All right. You got to have the manifestations in your mind, all right, for you to unite with God, because those laws are God, okay? Those laws are God. That's how you connect with God. That's how you perceive God, through the laws, okay? Through the laws. All right. No matter how well your mind works, no matter how powerful you have made your life force, you will not be able to affect others to assist you beyond a certain limit. Yet you will need their help to achieve your goals. Okay. In the same way that members of a species congregate on earth and form a community for mutual assistance, so is there a need for man to unite with God. Your union with God will take place when all of your spiritual faculties, all 11 of the Pa'ut, which means tree, the tree of the Neteru, okay, the Metu Neter, are manifesting their laws in your mind. The mind is the place where all of this goes on. The most important task that you have, therefore, as the seer, okay, is to see to it that all of your thoughts, emotions, and actions portray you as the likeness of God in the world. Okay, the likeness of God in the world. The statement that man was made in the image and likeness of God must be manifested in your daily life. You will receive clear directions for seeing yourself as the likeness of God throughout this book. Do you look like God when you are angry, afraid, or do you look like a human? Okay, and how does that differ from an animal? How does it differ? A lot of times we be comparing ourselves to the animals. The three aspects of Asar. Three aspects of Asar. What Asar signifies has given nothing but vexation to Egyptologists due to the fact that the word has different yet related denotations. Number one, it represents the self, capital L, capital S, consciousness and will of the Supreme Being. As such, it was called AUSAR'S in the book of Knowing the Transformations of Ra. Number two, it represents the incarnation of the Supreme Being's self, consciousness in man, the firstborn child of heaven, Nut, and earth, Gab. As such, it is the self of man. It is you. Okay? Three, it represents the spiritual vehicle of consciousness and manifests itself as conscious. Incidentally, we must take note that conscious is an objective reality operating within the subjective realm of man's mind. Whew! This is evidenced by the fact that we have no control over its pronouncements and the fact that it can only act as a teacher of righteousness and judge of our conduct through its objective status. I'm going to have to meditate on that. These three aspects of Asar, which were documented as early as 2350 BC, in the Holy Pyramid scriptures of King Unas, the last king of the fifth dynasty, found their way into Christianity as the Father, Asar, the consciousness of Godhead, of the Supreme Being, the Son, the incarnation of the Supreme Being's consciousness in Jesus as the teacher in his first coming, and as judge in the second. Whew, okay. These three, but that was only two aspects though. These three aspects of Asar, which were documented as early as 2350 BC in the Holy Pyramid scripture of King Munas, the last king of the fifth dynasty, found their way into Christianity as the Father, Asar, the consciousness of the Godhead, of the Supreme Being, and the Son, the incarnation of the Supreme Being's consciousness in man, in Jesus, okay, as the teacher in his first coming and as the judge in the second coming. The fact that you, the consciousness aspect of your being, are the same consciousness as the consciousness of the Supreme Being is derived from the fact that there is no energy matter in consciousness and cannot therefore be divided or multiplied. This is the foundation of the oneness of man with God. We got to get it. It is not merely a likeness, a sameness, okay, as the Bible describes it, okay, in the likeness of. Every man, every woman, and child is the child that is one with the Father. This reality finds its application in everyday life in your realization that you are and have always been a divine being. Why don't you know that? Or know it in a concrete and detailed manner? The answer goes back once more again to the nature of the self, the consciousness. Okay, it is devoid of energy and matter and therefore cannot store information. You do not and cannot have any information stored in the consciousness part of your being. Thank God there's duality. There's another part where the information is stored, right? All right. You must rely on the information that has been developed in the mental division of your spirit. That's why we are mental. That's why we have the mind, the mental. And a lot of people don't. You can't. Where's the mind at? Where does it reside? Does it reside in the brain? A lot of people think resides in the brain, or maybe it resides in the heart. Back in the old days, they said the heart. They say your heart, but they were talking about your mind in the Bible. Where is that mind at? Okay. All right. Hmm. All right. Some things can't be answered. Okay. In the early part of your spiritual career, wait a minute. The answer goes back once more again to the nature of the self, consciousness. It is devoid of energy and matter and therefore cannot store information. You do not and cannot have any information stored in the consciousness part of your being. You must rely on the information that has been developed in the mental division of your spirit and reflected to you. Reflected to you. That's why you can see what your thoughts, you can watch your thoughts as the divine seer. Okay. In the early part of your spiritual career, what appears in it is a set of thoughts that portray you as a human slash animal being. It is the purpose of true religion and spirituality to change that. You have to develop it. What in the Western world has become known as conscious was called the Ka, the spiritual vehicle of Asar. And in many literary passages dealing with the judgment of the deceased and initiate, it was simply referred to as Asar, the consciousness. Conscious as the divine teacher and its demise. Okay, let's continue. Unless a person's brain has been damaged, no one has to tell a mature person that it is wrong to cause harm or loss to another man or animal for the simple fact that the person's conscience will let him or her know. Okay? That thing, that conscious, okay, that makes you feel bad when you're doing something wrong. You have a conscience. Unless something's wrong with you, that's the teacher within. Okay. And it is a common consensus that every man should follow his conscience, quotes unquote. A statement that presumes that conscience always admonishes us to do the right thing. On the other hand, history testifies to the fact that the majority of men throughout the ages have not listened to the voice of conscience. They have opted to follow the lower part of their being, the human slash animal, to the detriment of the world. Okay. This rejection of conscious, the Ka of Asar or of Asar, was expressed in the Kemetic spiritual literature as the killing of Asar by his brother Set. Okay. Set is the lower part. Okay. And he goes to kill Asar. And that's what that is when you allow your lower nature to kill your conscious, which would teach you what's right and what's wrong. You already know, but you ignore it. Then you have metaphorically killed Aset. I mean, Asar. Set has killed Asar. When you follow it by the story, by the metaphor, which helps us to understand what's going on. Okay, that's how they learn. That's how they were able to receive this, to perceive it, to get it, and to move forward into developing that high divine self, which then allowed them to do so many great things. Okay, like build the pyramids, deal with astronomy, astrology, and just all kinds of things. Okay, that humans have not attained to even in this day and age. Okay. This rejection of conscious, the ka of Asar or of Asar, was expressed in the Kemetic spiritual literature as the killing of Asar by his brother Set, symbol of the human aspect of man's being. That's what Set is a representation of, the human aspect of the man, and Asar, the God divine aspect of the man. Okay. There is no energy slash matter in it to permit change. Oh, wait a minute. Let me, I skipped something. This rejects, okay, let me not read that again. To kill him, blah, blah, blah. We must take note of the fact that Asar as consciousness cannot be killed. There is no slash energy slash matter in it to permit change. Changing from being alive to being dead. Okay, conscious as a vehicle, a spiritual form, uh, like all objects. On the other hand, can suffer transformations. Oh, okay. Let's see. Let me dial this back. Okay, this rejection of conscious, the Ka of Asar or of Asar himself, was expressed in the Kemetic spiritual literature as the killing of Asar by his brother Set, symbol of the human aspect of man's being. We must take note of the fact that Asar as consciousness cannot be killed. Okay, there's conscious and then there's consciousness. Okay, it's a lot. It's a lot. There is no energy slash matter in it to permit change. You can't change if there's no energy. That's why they say that God is here forever, always, all eternity, before and forevermore. There's a way that that's said. It always has been. Conscious as a vehicle, a spiritual form, like all objects, in the other hand, can suffer transformation. Of course, in a way, the death, quotes, of conscious will affect the viability of consciousness, given that the former is the vehicle of the latter. So, conscience is the vehicle of consciousness. I hope you guys are following me. I'm trying. I get it. I get it. Is it Ra and Nefer Amen is using these words to try to break this down? Like we said before, it's hard to break down God in words. Okay, conscious must be resurrected for the self to express its divine role in the world. The resurrection of conscience of Asar and the judgment of the dead. If you are not living as a divine being, as an Asar, you are not living. You are merely existing at best. Or worse, you are on the path to death, the dissolution of your personal spiritual vehicles after the death of your physical body. Either way, you are dead as conceived by the ancient Egyptians. Okay. The living dead is what we call that. It is imperative for you to make it the highest priority to restore the life of your conscious and the divine role of your consciousness, the resurrection of Asar. Okay, Asar is the vehicle for the consciousness, which is God, to manifest in the human, in the divine being as man. Okay, this is what God's plan was for us. Okay, to inject or project through us as humans the energy of God. Woo, it's hard. It's hard, I know. It's imperative for you to make it the most highest priority to restore the life of your conscious and the divine role of your consciousness. The resurrection of Asar. It is then and only thus that you can become the master of your destiny. And this is what is meant to have a life. The ancient Egyptians, as detailed earlier, left a complete and effective system for the realization of this divinity. Okay, this is what this whole thing is all about, to resurrect that conscious, that Asar, which is the goal of consciousness, the Most High, in the creation of man. Okay, the self, the consciousness, agreeing in its mind and will to be judged by its ka/conscious, using the 11 laws of the spirit, the Metu Neter root, as the standard of being. It is actually a redundancy. The self has no choice but to abide by the laws of the spirit, given that the latter is the vehicle of the manifestation. A boat must obey the laws of water. A plane must obey the laws of air and gravity, and so on. Okay. A. Note that it is the Ka of Asar, conscious, that plays the role of judge of the dead, the mind and will of man that has not yet become divine. 2. Once the mind and the will are found to be in compliance with the laws of the spirit, the self, capital S, will be able to manifest its will unimpeded in the world. Okay? Oneness with all and with God. We turn now to the greatest challenge to the realization of oneness with all. It is easy to say that you are one with God and with the people that you love. But what about the people that have transgressed against you, especially in the worst way? What is the effect of you concluding that they are your enemy? The solution is twofold. One has to do with the logic of our oneness with all and with God, and the other with the spirit Ra. If we declare that someone is our enemy, or that we view their opposition to our interests as being opposed to us, then we cease to be one with them, okay, and thus with God, as no one can be an enemy to God. Okay, if we keep in mind that the highest manifestation of our divinity is the reclaiming of the original state of peace of the spirit, a peace that nothing can disturb, then the transgressions of others can cause no suffering. Okay, must be embraced as genuine opportunities for the development of our ability to manifest and maintain this peace and joy, the state of happiness, in the face of challenges. Furthermore, this ultimate state of divinity will grant us the means of spiritually protecting ourselves from the injustices of others. People are always going to be doing stuff. It is, as the saying goes, the silver lining in the cloud. Okay. Balancing heaven and earth in Asar. Again, we must not make the mistake that many would be spiritual masters have made. The earthly needs of man must not be compromised for her spiritual needs. The spiritual evolutionary impulse to oneness with all must not ignore the fact that rule breakers may need to be restrained and punished by the laws of man. It is not always the case that we should turn the other cheek, okay, or offer the robber the shirt off our backs. If you were to come home, listen to this, and find that a man was raping your wife, you would not offer him your daughter, okay? There would be no violation of the law of oneness regarding the necessary actions that you would have to take in the situation, even if it meant killing him. That's important. Okay, that's an important part right there. Okay, I'm not gonna go there. Asar initiation work. Okay, after doing the zazen breathing or meditating with the Asar meditation chant, see Appendix A, for about 15 minutes, concentrate on the following. 1. Make the effort to separate in your mind A. The thoughts and feelings that you are perceiving from, B. The act of perception from, and C. Your consciousness of yourself as the perceiver, the seer, your consciousness of yourself as the perceiver, the seer, in other words. Okay. You must persevere in this meditation for many months until you experience yourself fully detached from all that can be perceived as opposed to your person that cannot be perceived. This is the experience of self that is needed in order to detach yourself from your thoughts, okay, your emotions, and your body. It is the Asar experience as symbolized by the eye under or besides the throne, offset. And that is this image right there. The eye under the throne. The eye represents Asar and the throne represents Aset. Okay. The declarations of freedom from sin. I have not identified myself with my mind. I have not identified myself with my emotions. I have not identified myself with my physical body. I have not identified myself with my career, my job, etc. Review that section and perform a serious research on how consciousness has been dealt with around the world. Make a note of how cultural patterns have seduced people into violating the dictates of their conscious. Okay. Write a short essay on how you have dealt with your conscious. If you have violated, pledge to stop the ill practice. Make a list of your violations of your conscious. The spirit of Asar within you is your conscious. Note that violation of conscious is Setian behavior or satanic behavior. The violation of your conscious is Setian behavior. Meditation script to nurture the strengthening of conscious, the spiritual vehicle of Asar, which is yourself. Okay. Scenario 1. Visualize a situation or situations that challenges you to accept the dictates of your conscious, the voice of your divine spirit. It speaks to you when perhaps you are about to buy counterfeit goods, stealing, cheat on your diet, cheat on your mate, tell a lie about someone, indulge hatred towards someone, etc. Conscience will speak to you in a still small voice, as the Bible says. The truism, the divine law is I am thankful for the presence of God's voice within my being to uplift me to my divinity through guidance and judgment. Visualization of living in harmony with the law. Visualize your person acting in a manner that gives evidence that you are peacefully and joyfully accepting and following your consciousness. Part 3, I am the truism, the divine law is I am thankful for the presence of God's voice within my being to uplift me to my divinity through guidance and judgment. Visualization of living in harmony with the law. Visualize your person acting in a manner that gives evidence that you are peacefully and joyfully accepting and following your conscious. Visualize your person, your human body. See yourself being joyful and peaceful because you are following your conscious. Something happened, something came to you, and you did not fold and go towards the thing that your conscious told you not to do. You didn't rob, you didn't steal, you didn't buy hot items, you didn't do what your conscious told you not to do. And the joy and the peace that comes when you follow your conscious. Okay, that's the visualization. See yourself doing that. Okay, visualization of the blessings received from living truth. See your person enjoying a goal that you are seeking to attain as a result of having vitalized and harmonized your life force with peace. And when you follow your conscience, then you are vitalizing and harmonizing your life force with peace. Okay. Declarations of freedom from sin. Examples. I have not chosen to go against my conscience by mention whatever the violation is. I have not killed the spirit of Asar within my being. I have not given power to Set. I have not dismissed my feelings of guilt as pronounced by my conscience in regards to name the transgression. Okay. Meditation script. Oneness with all, especially transgressors. Scenario. Visualize a situation in which others have transgressed against you. The truism is, the divine law is, I give thanks for the peace and joy that comes from the knowledge that I am one with you. Think of the wrongdoer, okay? You have crossed my path to give me the genuine opportunity to nourish my oneness with all. Ain't that something? Okay. That evil doer, so to speak, doing the dirt that he did to you is the opportunity for you to nourish that energy within by not getting upset at the person, not declaring that person as an enemy, because that would then separate you from that person. And since we are all one in God, if you separate yourself from that person, even an evildoer that they are, then you have separated yourself from God in the divine scheme of things. And so when you not allow them that kind of control over you by you then getting upset at them, wanting to hurt them, wanting to revenge on them, then you have maintained your power, your divinity, your energy, your divine life force is intact, okay, and stronger. And so the gifts of having that is more blessings to you. And so therefore this wicked doer actually ends up being a blessing and an opportunity for you to practice that strengthening of that life force energy, but not allowing them to be able to take you off your square just because they did some dirty stuff to you. You know, we have so been trained to want to take revenge on somebody when they do some dirt. Okay. Anyway, the truism I give thanks for the peace and joy that comes from the knowledge that I am one with you. Think of the wrongdoer. You have crossed my path to give me the genuine opportunity to nourish my oneness with all. Nothing or no one can be against me. My nature is to be one with all. Visualization of living in harmony with the law. Visualize Visualize your person acting in a manner that gives evidence that you are maintaining your peace and joy whenever you think of, speak of, and interact with such persons. Be practical now. You wouldn't visualize your person sitting and breaking bread with an unrepentant criminal. Let's not go all the way. Just, you are still one with them, but from a distance over there. You're not gonna go chill with uh, the wicked, okay, as they say. Love them from a distance. That's how that works, okay. Visualization of the blessings received from living truth. See your person enjoying a goal that you are seeking to attain as a result of having vitalized and harmonized your life force with peace and joy. When you do that, when you are able to maintain your connection with the person even at a distance because of what they're doing, then you don't have your energy pour from you in anger and revengefulness and stuff like that. You maintain your energy, your life force energy. You feel better when you do it. Okay. And when you look at these people who forgive the murderers of their children, and you look at them and you feel they're in a much better place than the wicked one who did the dirt. If they forgive in trueness, that doesn't mean now they got to kick it. They have preserved their energy when they do that, because I guess wanting to take revenge is something that drains your energy, you know, which is no benefit to you, okay? Because you'll be having that thought in your mind of revenge forever, it just keeps spinning around in your head, draining you, is what it does. Okay. Visualization of the blessings received from living this truth, okay? See your person enjoying a goal that you are seeking to attain as a result of having vitalized and harmonized your life force with peace and joy. The declarations of freedom from sins, okay? I have not declared that any man is my enemy. I have not declared that any event is against me. I have not denied my oneness with all men. I have not denied my oneness with God. Review that section and write a short essay on the actions that you think that you are capable of taking were you to find yourself in imminent danger from someone, of actions that you would consider the authorities should take against transgressors. Okay, my people, that was the law of Asar. The next one will be the law of Tehuti. Okay, the second neter of the Pa'ut. All right. So, my people, thank you once again for coming to the MAPS channel. Mantras, affirmations, prayers, and spells. Thank you for liking this video, subscribing to this channel, sharing this channel with people that you know are working towards their higher goals. Okay. This is the way that it goes. There's so many religions that have missed the mark for teaching people how to do this. They just don't know how to do it. Go back to the source. This is the source, okay? It's the practical way to revitalize your entire spirit and rise up. We talk about ascending, okay, leveling up, but what about spiritual leveling up? Okay, that's what we really should be doing so that the blessings can flow. Seek ye first the kingdom, as the Bible says, of heaven. And then all these things will be given unto you. They will come to you automatically. All right. Once you seek and attain to the kingdom of heaven, and that is the higher self within. Okay. Thank God there's a way to do this. And that is not lost to history where you just can't know this anymore. All right. Peace and love.